Cecilia.
The president came out swinging today, calling James Comey a liar, a leaker, a slime ball. Is he worried about what he's saying?
Not at all. The American people see right through the blatant lies of a self-admitted leaker. This is nothing more than a poorly executed PR stunt by Comey to desperately rehabilitate his tattered reputation and enrich his own bank account by peddling a book that belongs in the bargain bin of the fiction section instead of being remembered as a dedicated servant in the pursuit of justice. Like so many of his other colleagues at the FBI, Comey will be forever known as a disgraced partisan hack that broke his sacred trust with the President of the United States, the dedicated agents of the FBI, and the American people he vowed to faithfully serve. One of the President's greatest achievements will go down as firing Director James Comey.
On another topic, quickly, if I may, the Deputy Attorney General was here yesterday. Is the President going to fire Rod Rosenstein?
I don't have any announcements at this time. The President's voiced some frustrations, but beyond that, I don't have anything to add. Jim?
Sarah, what about the content of the President's attacks on Jim Comey, your attacks on Jim Comey? Isn't all of that a bit unbecoming of the presidency of this White House to go after him in such a personal way like that?
I think it.
Slime ball and a liar and a leaker.
I think it's unbecoming for the person that is supposed to be the top law enforcement official in the United States, the person that is supposed to protect the people of this country, to lie and leak classified information, certainly to falsify documents. I think that's a very big problem. And somebody who has created this problem for himself. I didn't encourage Jim Comey to go out and do a PR campaign. Congress has asked Jim Comey to come and testify multiple times, of which he's denied being able to do, yet he found time to sit down with George Stephanopoulos for 5 hours. I think if anybody has created this problem, it's Jim Comey, and he should be the one held responsible.
Hey, Sarah, if I can just follow up. Other folks got two questions. If I can just ask a second follow-up question because
it's Friday.
Well, it's Friday, yeah. And you've probably
you'd probably get really upset, and I don't need that if I did.
Not at all. No, but you've probably seen this tweet. It was a tweet that you posted before the election in 2016 when you're attacking FBI agents because you're under criminal investigation, you're losing.
Yeah.
What do you make of that now? I mean, isn't
the
that...
rank and file FBI are some of the greatest people in this country. We've repeated that time and time again, and certainly have the full support of this administration. I think that we've been very clear, though, how we feel about some of the leadership at the FBI, particularly James Comey.
When you go after Comey and
I did give you two, Jim.
Mueller,
I'm going to keep
doesn't that mean you're losing?
Following up on that, I mean, one of the themes of Comey's book is the president's, quote, disdain for the rule of law and his continued efforts to publicly undermine federal law enforcement officials. So how would you characterize the president's attitude towards the rule of law and things that he says publicly about many of his top federal law enforcement officials?
The president has a great deal of respect for the rule of law, but the president does not have a lot of respect for people whose sole job is to carry out the law, and they leak classified information and they lie to the American public about it. Charlie?
It's his own attorney general, it's his own deputy attorney general, it's special counsel, it's the FBI, to judges who make decisions that he doesn't like.
I'm sorry, I'm not. What was the question?
There's a whole list of the sort of federal law enforcement officials that he has undermined. It's not just people who have proven to leak information.
The president hasn't undermined them in any capacity just because he calls out things that he finds to be problematic or concerning. I think that he should do that. If members of the FBI are leaking classified information, the president should absolutely call that to question. You guys spend hours upon hours every single day praising Jim Comey, propping him up, giving him the biggest platform. We shouldn't be praising him. We should be putting him down. We should be taking him off of air instead of giving him minute after minute. This country has a lot of real problems. We should be talking about the economy. We should talk about Syria. We should talk about the drug crisis, but instead we're going to talk about Jim Comey. You guys will cover it endlessly all day today, all day tomorrow, and my guess is every day next week with very little time given to the issues that people care about. So the president has every right to call out that individual that you guys are propping up and say that there are problems and that we should be concerned about it. Charlie?
Thanks, Sarah. The Justice Department Inspector General came out with his long-awaited report this afternoon on former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, saying that he improperly leaked information about the Clinton Foundation investigation to a reporter and then lied to James Comey about it and under oath to two FBI investigators. Do you have a reaction to that, and does that, in your mind, validate the decision to fire McCabe?
I haven't seen the full report, but it sounds like two peas in the pod with McCabe and Comey. McCabe was fired and disgraced for misconduct and lying about it. Beyond that, I don't have anything at this point. Francesca.
Thank you, Sarah. You said that that James Comey was a liar, that he's a leaker, that he made false representations or claims. Other than what the president tweeted this morning about lying under oath to Senator Grassley, what exactly has he said that's false or a lie?
Comey claimed reopening the Clinton investigation when he did was based on merit. Now he says it was based because of poll numbers. Comey claimed the president told him to stop investigating Flynn after he previously testified that no one told him to stop investigations. He also, even the media has reported that officials have determined that Comey leaked 4 memos, at least 4 that we know about, with classified information. I think it's very clear that Comey has a credibility problem. The other thing is clear, this is one of the few issues in Washington that both Democrats and Republicans agree on. He's been criticized by the legal community for leaking sensitive information, and organizations promoting good government found Comey's leaking grounds for firing. Multiple Democrats, including some of the biggest leaders in the Democrat Party, have also attacked Comey. Minority Leader Pelosi said Comey was maybe not in the right job. Senator Schumer said he was appalled by what Comey did and did not have confidence in him any longer. Senator Bernie Sanders said Comey acted in an outrageous way. Clinton's running mate, Senator Kaine, said Comey is responsible for the lowest moment in the history of the FBI. Even Congresswoman Maxine Waters said Comey has no credibility. The FBI should be independent and not led by a political hack. Comey's higher loyalty is pretty clear that it's only to himself. If you can get this group of people and others like Mark Meadows and a number of others to agree on something, I think that you'd have to be right. Jim?
What about the dossier, though? Sarah, what about the dossier? Did he also lie about the dossier in his conversation with President Trump about that?
The dossier is false opposition research that was funded by the Clinton campaign to attack the president. It was used illegally to justify spying on Americans. And I think that's quite the problem. John?
The James Comey book, some excerpts came out today. He speaks of the president, writes about the president in very personal terms. Were you surprised by that? But was the president surprised by that?
I don't think we're surprised by the fact that James Comey continues to spread false information. The guy's known to be a liar and a leaker, and so there's not a lot about James Comey that we would find to be very surprising. John?
Sarah, the president a short time ago issued a pardon to Scooter Libby, the former vice president's chief of staff. There are many people who believe that Scooter Libby was the victim of a special counsel investigation run amok. The recent statements that we have heard from the White House would seem to indicate that you feel much the same thing about the Mueller investigation. Was the president sending some sort of signal to the Mueller investigation or about the Mueller investigation by pardoning Scooter Libby?
Not at all. One thing has nothing to do with the other, and every case should be reviewed on their own merits. Pardoning Libby was the right thing to do after the principal witness recanted her testimony. The D.C. Court of Appeals panel unanimously voted to restore Mr. Libby's bar membership after being presented credible evidence in support of his version of events, and it appears that key prosecution witness, Judith Miller, changed her recollection of the events in question.
In the statement, the pardoning statement today, the president acknowledges he doesn't know Scooter Libby. What was it that convinced him that Scooter Libby deserved a pardon?
The president thought it was the right thing to do. Aisha.
I wanted to ask about the pardoning process. It seems like we've had these 3 pardons. They all were somewhat high profile or had gotten media attention. How is the president deciding when to take action on a case? I mean, with Arpaio, he hadn't even been sentenced yet. The Scooter Libby case was very old. So how are you deciding when to take action on these cases? And can a normal person who feels like they've been like unjustly convicted, can they get their case to the White House? I mean, there's a Justice Department process, but it seems like the president is taking special interest in certain cases.
Again, the president has exercised constitutional authority, and he determines when and how he's going to use that when it comes to the pardon process. He looks at each one individually and makes a decision, and we make that announcement. Nadia?
Sarah.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. Who are you calling, Brian?
I was calling on Nadia, and then I'll go to Brad.
All right, thank you, Sarah. The OCPW is sending an inspectors to Syria. Do you think this is a futile exercise since you already have the evidence that actually they have chemical weapons?
Once again, we are confident in the intelligence that we have and in the fact that we know that Syria is responsible for these actions.